Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you the key difference between the nested if and the switch function of Excel. Although these two can be used alternatively, but in certain situations you cannot use the switch function and only nested if can be used, while in others using the switch function is better than the nested if. So with these three examples, I will try to clear the concept about these two powerful Excel functions. So in example 1, both can be used, and when nested if and switch functions both can be used alternatively, then there is no doubt that using the switch function is better because there is less chance of making errors, as you will see in a minute. But then in some situations you cannot use the switch function, as I will explain in later examples. So in this example we have salespeople and the amount of sales, and these salespeople are divided into three categories. LT5 means people who have less than 5 years of service, MT5 means more than 5 years of service, and more than 10 years of service, and based on these three categories their commission is different, 10%, 15% or 20%. So initially we had these three columns and we need to calculate the commission rate and the amount of commission, and in these two columns I have used the nested if function, while the same job but in these two columns I am using the switch function. So first let us see how we can calculate the rate of commission by using nested if. So this formula is written in E13 and then I drag this like this and apply the formula to the whole column. So now let's have a look at nested if. If function is a logical function that checks two conditions, but when there are more than two conditions to check, then we have to use nested if. Nested if means if inside another if function. So this is the outer if function, parenthesis starts but did not close, and we have started a nested if inside the outer if, then we closed the nested if here, and then finally we closed the outer if with this parenthesis. How it reads is, if D13 is equal to LT5, this is D13, then put the value of 0.1 in this cell. If not, now check for MT5. If D13 is MT5, then put 0.5 in this cell, and in all other cases put 0.2. So this is how you read this nested if function. Now let us see how the switch function works in this situation. So in this cell G13 I am using the switch function, and as you can see the syntax of switch function is much simpler than the nested if. There are only two parentheses, one at the beginning, one at the end, and this is the main cause of error when you are using nested if, because if there are too many conditions to check, then it will become difficult to handle all these commas, quotation marks and parentheses. So the switch function works in this way to D13 and check if it is LT5, then the value is 0.1, comma, if it is MT5, then the value is 0.15, comma, in all other cases the value is 0.2. So this is how we read the switch function. So it is very simple to implement. The result is same. So this was the situation where both can be used, and in this type of situation you should always use the switch function because it is much simpler. Now let me show you another example where you cannot use the switch function. The first two columns are same, but now we have to categorize our salespeople in three categories. The one who made sales more than $10,000 are categorized as good, and the one who made sales less than $2,000 are categorized as poor, and anyone between sales amount of $2,000 and $10,000 is average. So this is what we want to do. So let me show you the formula for this using the nested if. If E8 is this sales value, greater than 10,000, write good in this cell. If E8 is less than 2,000, write poor. In all other cases, write average in this cell, and then we drag the formula and we get this result. Now in this situation you cannot use the switch function. Why? Because the switch function cannot check greater than or less than values. switch function can only check a fixed value. In this case, all these values were already categorized in 3 different categories. But in this situation, we have to check greater than, or in a similar situation less than. Switch function cannot do this. So therefore, we only have one option to use the nested if function. However, once you have done this column, once you have categorized all these sales into these 3 categories, now you can use the switch function on this column, because now we have limited number of fixed categories: good, average and poor. We have 3 categories, so we can use the switch function on this column. So let's say if the category is good, we have a bonus of 2000. If it is average, we have a bonus of 1000. And if the category of a salesperson is poor, we don't give him or her any bonus. So now here is how you can implement the switch function. Look what is written at F6. If it is good, write 2000 in G6. This is the cell where the formula is. If it is average, then write 1000. In all other cases, leave it empty. So this is how you will implement switch function once you have categorized the data into a limited number of categories which you can compare. So this is the limitation of the switch function, that it cannot be used to check the logical expressions. You can only check against the fixed value. So I hope now you understand where you can use or cannot use the switch function, and where it is better to use the switch function over the nested if. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching and see you next time.